Hello, welcome to the Vitality Stadium in Bournemouth on the south coast. It's been a lovely sunny day here and Norwich City are going home happy, satisfied, not got a win but a 0-0 draw, a very stabilising Premier League point and the first clean sheet of the season. The first point away from home in the Premier League, first point full stop because of course they also lost the League Cup game at Crawley, but let's not go there. A 0-0 draw here at Bournemouth, very hard earned and no more so than because Ben Godfrey had to go off 5 minutes into the second half. Just when you think all the injuries are getting better, just when you think the centre-back situation can't get any worse, Ben Godfrey stretches seemingly just making a pass early in the second half. So whether his body had sort of cooled down a bit over half-time and he wasn't quite warm enough for the start of the second half, it seemed to go very quickly and then within 5 minutes he was down on the deck, writhing in pain almost. So whether that is a knock-on effect of his hernia operation, which was less than 2 weeks ago, that is yet to be clarified. Daniel Farke didn't say for sure in his post-match interviews, suggested that it was probably a knock-on effect from that surgery, hoping it's not too bad, but they obviously need to let things settle down and see how he was. He seemed to limp away in a fair bit of pain down the tunnel. And from that point on, that meant that Alex Tettey had to drop into centre-back and alongside Ibrahim Amadou, who's of course also really a defensive midfielder by trade. And from there on, they had to battle. But really, I'd say their teammates, of course, those two did very well, and Amadou got through some real work today. Tettey, we just spoke to Tim Krul and he described Alex Tettey's performance as a captain's performance, and I would definitely agree with that. First half he was good in midfield as well. Just having him and Krul back there was such a calming influence for Norwich. So just to take a step backwards though, those were the two changes. Krul came back in for Michael McGovern, which we were expecting, and if I step out of the way, that is the end where the 1,300 Norwich fans were, and they were in really good voice today. They were almost celebrating at the final whistle, but I'll come back to that. So yeah, Krul comes back in goal, Tettey comes into midfield, but that's for Marco Stiepermann. Kenny McLean and Moritz Leitner sort of freed in a way. It was kind of a 4-1-4-1 formation, but as ever with Daniel Farke, it's kind of fluid. So it was really Moritz Leitner who was playing in the more advanced role, the Stiepermann role as it were, but McLean was getting further forward than Tettey, as you would imagine. He is the defensive midfield anchor in that situation. So McLean buzzed around quite a lot. Leitner had an influence at times, definitely faded in the final third of the game, and but he certainly didn't play like Stiepermann. He was dropping left, right, into little pockets of space, quite similar to the way that Emi Buendia and Todd Cantwell play. So in a way that made Norwich sort of vibrant in their attacking work, but for me there was too much of it done with the defence in front of them. There wasn't enough Norwich getting in behind. The only player that was doing that really was Teemu Pukki. You expect that of him, and Bournemouth defended well enough to stop Pukki getting clear through too many times. So I think as we leave here today, it's probably a fair result. It's a result that Norwich are far happier with. I just heard one of the Bournemouth players being interviewed. I'm not 100% sure it was because I was speaking to Tim Krul, but I think it was Steve Cook. But I may be wrong on that one. I don't recognise all the Bournemouth players. And his response to the first question was that it was a terrible result for them. But he did sort of talk that down a little bit quite quickly and said, okay, maybe terrible's too strong, it's frustrating. But at the final whistle, it's the away end who are almost celebrating, and the Bournemouth fans sort of slump away fairly disappointed with that result. But they were probably looking at the Norwich fans thinking, why are they so happy with a 0-0 draw? But on the back of a 5-1 defeat to Villa that we've all had 2 weeks to dwell on, to draw 0-0 away from home, get that first clean sheet, get a point, that really did feel like it could potentially be a big moment for Norwich. It's one of those games where they've said, look, we deserve to be here. Bournemouth are a very good team. You look at the amount of money that's been spent on them. They've got Callum Wilson up front, Dominic Solanke, Philip Billing in midfield is an absolute huge prospect and a huge man as well. He really is big. Nathan Ake at the back is very good. Aaron Ramsdale is the England under-21 goalkeeper. I thought Rico at left back looked very good. Lewis Cook is very highly rated in midfield as well. So Bournemouth are good. I don't think you need me to sort of go any further with that one. But this, for me, came down to character. It came down to, particularly once Godfrey had gone off, the players thought, right, that's it. We're not having this anymore. This is ridiculous. How bad can our luck be? We're just going to go for this. And in the end, they were unlucky not to nick this. And I think if Norwich had come away from here with a 1-0 win, and I thought it might happen as we entered that final 15 minutes, I don't think Eddie Howe could have had too much to complain about, really. They were the better team in the first half, just about. Jamal Lewis got booked fairly early. I think it was on the 30th minute for a second fairly bad tackle on Harry Wilson, and that meant that he had to show some real maturity from that point, and I think he did. He was probably one of Norwich's best players on the day in the end. But the big moment in the first half was Tim Krul. 21st minute, Amadou gets dragged out of position. A cross comes in from the left from Ryan Fraser. Ben Godfrey isn't quick enough. Callum Wilson gets in front of him. Amadou then gets dragged out of position, and Wilson plays the ball in behind him, and Solanke's just got Krul to beat, but Krul is straight out, spreads himself, shows all that experience, gets a left foot out to block the ball behind, and that was the big moment of the first half. There were only 3 shots on target, so there's not loads of events to go through for the game, really, because it was a scrappy one, it was a battle. But Aaron Ramsdale did pull out an outstanding save. I think it was 20 minutes from time. Timu Pukki just got a little bit of space. Weirdly, Bournemouth backed off him on the edge of the box, and he all of a sudden had some daylight to shoot. Hit the target, bottom left corner from about 20 yards, but Ramsdale gets down, sticks out a big, strong right hand, stops that going in. It was a really, really good save, and it was pivotal. Onel Hernandez came on in the final 10 minutes and looked very bright. That really lifted the away end. They were really pleased to see him back on the pitch and greeted him really enthusiastically, and immediately, almost within a minute, he got the ball and just put his head down and got down that wing and injected that pace into it that we've been the Norwich fans have really been wanting to see. And there were a couple of instances where he so nearly got the ball to Pukki in the box, and there were half chances here and there during the closing stages, but the biggest chance during that final 10 minutes fell to Tom Tribal. He also came on during the second half, and he was the one who came on for Ben Godfrey, so he played most of the second half, and he really got stuck in as well, and actually he took one shot to the back of the head, which I think meant he had to have a concussion check, and he seems to be alright, a bit groggy, but that was a really brave block from the Bournemouth substitute, whose name escapes me, I'm afraid, but that was a really, really strong block, so good work from him. Praise for him from Daniel Farker as well. Praise for Amadou as well, considering that he's had criticism for some of his performances as centre-back and that he's persevering there. He's going to have to persevere there for quite a bit longer. He's now the first choice centre-back. If Ben Godfrey's not available against Manchester United, Alex Tettey also did a bit of media, and he sort of was talking along the lines of, I might have to play there against Manchester United, so we'll have to see how things settle down with Godfrey during this week. But as I say, at the end of the day, Daniel Farker goes over to the away end, and they want the Farker waves. They want to celebrate with him, because that felt like one where everybody had dug in together. There was absolutely no doubt about it that if it's home v away support, the away support won it today. They were singing "Is This a Library?" and they were loud. Really, I think they were really appreciative of the effort that their players put in for them today. So there we go. We will see how Manchester United get on against Liverpool on Sunday. That's going to have a big bearing. And then I can't remember who they play. I think it might be Spartak Moscow on Thursday night in the Europa League. I think it's one of the Russian teams. So we can't really, at this point, describe what Manchester United is going to turn up at Carrow Road. It's if they get 2 decent results, then they're going to be resurgent. But equally, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job could be very, very much on the line by the time they pitch up at Carrow Road next Sunday afternoon. And I think, at this point, Norwich fans will smell blood. They will play in a different way to how they played today at home. It wasn't like they parked the bus. It was a bit more pragmatic, fewer chances taken, although the ball was lost quite cheaply at times by Emi Buendia, Todd Cantwell, Kenny McLean as well at times, although Kenny did get stuck in. So it's not like we're coming away from here saying, wow, this was a brilliant performance. It's one where in the circumstances where you've literally got all of your centre-back options, proper centre-back options, out, injured, to leave with your first clean sheet of the season, first away point of the season, although they're still in the relegation zone, they're still 19th, only 9 games played. So I think it's just a satisfying afternoon, one where there's something to build on, hopefully, but until we get to Carrow Road next Sunday afternoon against Manchester United and see how they get on, that's when we'll really judge whether this is sort of the start of a new defensive solidity, whether that work in the international break under Daniel Farke has really worked. So plenty to chew over during the week, but we can all travel home. Long journey back to Norfolk tonight, but at least we can travel home with a bit of a smile on our faces. So head over to pinkun.com to check on all the post-match reaction and analysis. Thank you for watching.